Welcome to my creation station. If you love crafting, then I love you. Today I have 3 fall Dollar Tree DIYs. Let's get to crafting. First, you'll need one of these Dollar Tree initial pumpkins. I chose the white one with a C because the C did not extend out past that center section. I figured it would be easier to cover it when I went to paint. I did remove the metal leaf and the hanger at the top and sanded down the glue. Next, I took some of the half wood beads I got from Amazon and I lined them along the sides of the pumpkin. I decided to use 19 of the beads on each side and I hot glued them down. Once they were all glued, I made a pattern on the center section of the pumpkin with just a regular sheet of paper. Once that was cut out, I traced around the pattern on the back of one of Dollar Tree's peel and stick wall decals. I chose the decal that was rose gold. Once it was cut out, I removed the backing and stuck it to the middle of the pumpkin. Once that was done, I painted the entire piece with 2 coats of Waverly chalk paint and plaster. When it was completely dry, I sanded down the wall decal so that the detail would stand out. You have to be careful not to remove too much or there'll be no rose gold left to peek out. This would definitely be easier with an embossed metal piece. Once I was satisfied with the sanding, I used metallic solid bronze by Folk Art to dry brush the entire piece. I did go back over it with some plaster chalk paint in areas where the bronze was a little too heavy. I took that same bronze paint to paint the stem of the pumpkin. I made a messy bow using some ribbon scraps and attached it to the stem as well as some of the pitberry garland. I actually stuck that pitberry garland through the hole at the top. And here it is styled in my kitchen. I'm considering going back and adding more of the half beads around the middle section. What do you think? For this DIY, I'm using one of the wood pumpkin stands and dismantling it. Using a craft knife, I cut down the center of the solid pumpkin and removed the stem. I scored it a couple of times and then used scissors to finish cutting through it. Once it was cut in half, I sanded down the edges. Here, I'm marking the center of the pumpkin with the cutouts for later. Using pages I got from a thrift store book, I Mod Podged them to both sides of the pumpkin halves, just the solid pumpkins. Then I trimmed roughly around the edges. While those pages dried, I painted the pumpkins with the cutouts with 2 coats of Waverly chalk paint in pumpkin. Once the paint dried, I used super glue wood glue from Dollar Tree to adhere it to a random wood round that I found. Now back to the pumpkin halves. Once they were completely dry, I sanded the edges to leave a nice smooth finish, and then I painted the edges with the Waverly pumpkin chalk paint. And there's my little assistant, Georgia. Using wood glue, I glued the pieces to the orange piece. I would recommend using hot glue for this next time. To embellish the pumpkin stem, I used pieces of rope and twine. Gluing moss to the base of the pumpkin and the stem helped cover the wood round and other imperfections. And there you have it, a cute little pumpkin to throw in the mix with all the others. Using one of Dollar Tree's ever-popular calendars from last year, I traced the wood pumpkin on the back of the month of October and cut it out. I covered the palette-style pumpkin in black paint by Apple Barrel so that the black ink on the back of the calendar page wouldn't show through when I Mod Podged on it. I just gave it one good coat of paint, and once that was dry, I used Waverly Antique Wax on the stem. Using Mod Podge and a makeup sponge, I coated the back of the calendar page before applying it to the pumpkin. Once that was completely dry, I again used a sanding block to remove the edges of the calendar. Ever so carefully, I cut the paper out of the grooves on the back side and then the front with my craft knife. I assure you I did this very slowly. A burlap bow was just the thing to finish it off. I also did go back around the edges with some Waverly Antique wax and Mod Podge. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I wish you joy, health, and sunshine.